All right, folks, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into a topic that's, well, let's just say it's a little out there. We're talking about Juan Tamad, the Filipino folk hero.
Ah, yes, the king of chill.
Exactly. The ultimate sovereign slacker. And believe it or not, we're going to see if this legendary layabout can teach us something about the future. I mean, you sent over a fascinating collection of sources, folklore, tech papers, even economic theories. It's a wild mix.
It is, but I think there are some really interesting connections waiting to be uncovered.
So let's jump right in. This TAMAD XYZ, Embracing the Science of Inception document, it talks about Inception. And I got to ask, are we talking Leonardo DiCaprio, dreams within dreams kind of Inception here?
Not quite, though it certainly is mind-bending. This is about the idea of planting ideas, making people feel like a concept is their own.
Sneaky. So how does our friend Juan Tamad, napping under the guava tree, fit into all of this?
Well, the Guava Nexus project, which is bringing the Juan Tamad myth into the Web3 world, seems to understand this idea of Inception pretty well.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this Guava Nexus.
They want folks to embrace this decentralized future, this whole Web3 thing, as if it was their idea all along. And Juan Tamad, he's their poster child.
Makes sense. He is the master of doing things his own way, right?
Right.
Even if it looks like he's not doing anything at all.
Exactly. He subverts expectations, challenges authority, and often his unconventional methods actually lead to surprisingly positive outcomes.
It's like they're using his image to make this whole Web3 thing seem cool and rebellious, not some top-down tech takeover.
That's a great way to put it. And it taps into this age-old power of storytelling, something Yuval Noah Harari talks about in Nexus.
Oh, yeah, Harari. He always has some fascinating insights about humanity and our weirdness.
Right. He talks about how we humans have been using shared narratives to build cooperation for millennia. I mean, think about it. Religion, nation states, even money, they're all based on stories we collectively agree to believe.
Powerful stuff. So Guava Nexus is trying to craft a new shared story, a new intersubjective reality, as they call it.
Exactly. They want to weave this narrative around Juan Tamad and Web3.
And those seed NFTs you mentioned, those are part of this storytelling, right?
They are. They're basically digital tokens that represent ideas or pieces of this new narrative.
Okay, so like owning a piece of the story, kind of like owning a piece of the future they're trying to build.
Exactly. It's a way to tokenize ownership and participation in this whole experiment. And it gets even more interesting when you look at the MAD ticket.
Now that sounds intriguing. What's so mad about it? And how is it different from these other seed NFT things?
Well, the MAD ticket connects to this idea of time as a resource, something that Principles of Economics really digs into.
Oh, right, time. We all have a limited amount of it.
Exactly. And that book argues that time is actually the ultimate scarce resource. The MAD ticket, according to Guava Nexus, is meant to measure and reward the time and effort people contribute to their ecosystem.
So instead of speculating on the value of some random JPEG, these MAD tickets are tied to actual, real-world contribution.
That's the idea. It's an attempt to redefine value in this Web3 world, moving away from pure speculation and towards something more, meaningful.
Hold on. Are we saying Juan Tamad, the guy who naps under guava trees, is actually a forward-thinking economist? Yeah. I thought we were going to poke fun at his laziness.
Well, maybe his laziness is just a different way of valuing time. Maybe he's rejecting the traditional hustle and finding a more sustainable rhythm.
That's a pretty radical reframing. But I kind of like it. So you can earn these MAD tickets, and then you can use them for what exactly?
That's where things get really interesting. Guava Nexus wants to use these tickets at real-world events. They even mentioned something about a future dance music festival.
Wait, so you can go dance your face off, all thanks to your contributions to the Juan Tamad metaverse. That's wild. But how do they plan to bridge the gap between this, dreamy vision and the actual making it happen part?
Well, that's where collaboration comes in. The document, The Collective Effervescence in Music Festivals, really highlights this need for a balance between creative dreamers and, let's say, analytical doers.
You need the Juan Tamads to come up with the crazy ideas, and then the not-so-Juan Tamads to figure out how to actually make it work.
Exactly. And Guava Nexus seems to understand this. They talk about creating a nexus brain, a platform where all these different perspectives can come together and, make magic happen.
This is getting pretty deep, folks. We've gone from a lazy folk hero to blockchain technology to music festivals. And somehow it all seems to be connected. I'm starting to think there's more to Juan Tamad than meets the eye.
There's definitely a lot to unpack here, and we're just getting started. Speaking of making it happen, you sent over some pretty dense technical stuff about Arbitrum.
Ah, yes, those Arbitrum white papers,
Yeah.
full of, diagrams and acronyms that made my head spin a little.
Yeah, they're not exactly light reading, but they offer some crucial insights into how we can actually scale this whole blockchain thing.
Okay, remind me, what's Arbitrum all about again? And how does it fit into the bigger picture?
Imagine you're trying to build this massive global network where anyone can participate, create, and transact.
Okay, yeah, I'm picturing it. Kind of like a digital utopia, right?
Exactly. But to make that work, you need a system that's fast, secure, and can handle a ton of transactions. That's where Arbitrum comes in. They've developed some really clever ways to make Ethereum, which is the platform a lot of this Web3 stuff is built on, way more efficient.
Okay, so less lag, less cost, more security.
Hmm.
That all sounds good, but what does it mean for, the average Juan Tamad enthusiast?
Think of it like this. Faster transactions mean you can buy, sell, trade those MAD tickets we were talking about more quickly and cheaply. And improved security means your digital assets are safe and sound.
So Arbitrum is like the invisible infrastructure that makes all the fun stuff possible. It's like the foundation of the house.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And what's really cool is that even in this highly technical realm, we see that same balance between creativity and practicality that we talked about earlier.
So
Well, they have this concept called the Data Availability Committee.
Data Availability Committee. That sounds super bureaucratic.
It might sound that way, but it's actually a really clever compromise. Basically, it's this group of trusted entities that helps ensure the integrity and availability of data on the network.
Hmm. So a bit of centralization to make decentralization work better. It's like a delicate dance.
Exactly. It's like finding that sweet spot between order and chaos. And, it reminds me of another key aspect of Juan Tamad's character, resilience.
Resilience. You mean his ability to sleep through anything?
Well,
Yeah.
yes. But think about it more broadly. Remember in Juan Tamad, the one identity, there's that story about the sudden downpour. He doesn't freak out. He doesn't try to fight it.
He just chills, waits for it to pass.
Exactly. And then he adapts. It's like he's a master of going with the flow, which, might not be the typical image of a world-conquering entrepreneur, but
But maybe that's exactly the kind of mindset we need in this crazy, constantly changing world, right?
I think so. The world of tech, the internet, blockchain, it's all about experimentation, adaptation, and being comfortable with uncertainty. Juan Tamad, in his own way, embodies that.
So maybe the king of chill is actually a role model for navigating the digital age. Who would have thought?
It's definitely a thought-provoking idea, and it connects to those studies you sent about transformative experiences at music festivals.
Ah, yes, the festival vibes. That feeling of connection, the energy, the music.
It's more than just good times, though. The research suggests these experiences can actually lead to lasting changes in people's values and behavior. People become more empathetic, more open to new ideas.
So like they tap into something bigger than themselves, a collective energy or something.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, we need a little more of that festival spirit in our everyday lives.
A little more of that Juan Tamad-esque ability to let go, embrace the unexpected, find joy in the simple things.
Now you're talking. Imagine approaching challenges with that sense of playfulness, prioritizing connection over competition, valuing genuine experience over relentless productivity.
It sounds almost utopian. But who knows, maybe Juan Tamad, the ultimate slacker, is actually a visionary pointing us toward a more joyful and fulfilling future.
That's a great point. And speaking of visionaries, there's one more layer to this Juan Tamad onion I think we need to peel back.
I'm all ears. What else have we got?
Well, I was thinking about how Juan Tamad, why the Guava, talked about all these brilliant minds, like Newton, Einstein, even Steve Jobs. They all had these moments of insight, these breakthroughs.
Yeah, the classic aha moment, the apple falling on Newton's head, that kind of thing.
Exactly. But what's interesting is that those moments often came from, well, not from intense effort, but from a more relaxed state of mind.
So you're saying Juan Tamad, just chilling under his guava tree, might have actually been onto something.
Maybe. These geniuses were all about deep thinking, seeing connections others missed. And that kind of thinking often comes when you're not forcing it, when you allow your mind to wander.
So Juan Tamad's slacking was actually a form of, deep contemplation. He was tapping into a different rhythm, one that allowed for those creative sparks to fly.
I think that's a really insightful way to look at it. It's like he was practicing mindfulness before it was cool, tapping into a kind of, well, guava wisdom, as you called it.
Huh. Guava wisdom. I love it. It's about slowing down, observing, trusting that the answers will come. just like a ripe guava falling from the tree.
And that brings us back to Guava Nexus. They're trying to bring that sense of playfulness, that guava wisdom into this whole Web3 world.
Which can be, let's face it, pretty intense and competitive. Everyone's trying to, disrupt everything and be the next big thing.
Right. But Guava Nexus, they're taking a different approach. It's more laid back, more community driven.
It's almost like a rebellion against the move fast and break things mentality.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to put it. They're trying to re-enchant the digital world, make it a space for creativity and genuine connection, and using Juan Tamad as their mascot. Brilliant.
It's a bold move for sure. But can you really build a sustainable platform, a whole movement even, around the idea of, well, sovereign slacking?
That's the big question, isn't it? But what excites me is that they're challenging the status quo, pushing boundaries. They're not afraid to experiment.
And who knows? Maybe Juan Tamad, the ultimate slacker, might just have the answers we're looking for. Maybe he's a visionary for the digital age, pointing us towards a more balanced and fulfilling way of life.
It's definitely food for thought.
So, dear listeners, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Juan Tamad, we invite you to consider this. What if the key to thriving in this digital age isn't about working harder and faster? What if it's about slowing down, embracing those moments of stillness, and tapping into your own inner guava wisdom?
Maybe it's time to reclaim our sovereignty, not just over our data and our finances, but over our time, our attention, and our very way of being in the world.
So go ahead, be a little more Juan Tamad. Take a nap under a tree, daydream, connect with nature. You might just surprise yourself with what you discover.
Until next time, keep it curious and keep it sovereign.